Derek isn't here.
He's not.
Okay.
I know of.
They showed him as being staff, but I guess Michael and I are the fill-ins, right?
Yeah, you're the staff. Takes two to take care of Derek's.
And that, I believe that. So, Inc. Business Development. And then our key supporters are Northrop Grumman, L3, and the Utah Supplier Development Council. Before I introduce the governor, I'd like for the staff of PTAC to stand and be recognized. We have 7 locations in the state. Each of these people are from one of those locations. Quickly, we have Chuck Spence, who is our deputy director, and he's in the downtown office with me. Then we have Corey Holly at UVU, Johnny Wilkinson at Salt Lake Community College Miller campus. Then Alex Quason-Saki, who is at the Davis Applied Technology Center. We have Cindy Roberts from Logan. And Craig Isom, Cameron Finley, and Joni Anderson, all from the Cedar City office at the Business Resource Center. Last but not least is Keith Christensen from St. George at Dixie College. We really appreciate the work they do, and they're the ones that are in there doing the assistance to you on a day-to-day basis. Now let's turn our attention to Governor Herbert. He probably doesn't need much of an introduction because he is so well known and so well respected. He is our 17th governor, and he took office on August the 11th of '09. And in his, with his leadership, he has expressed and shared with us a vision that he has, which all of us that are working in the governor's office are adhering to and providing support to and making happen. And that is that Utah will lead the nation as the best performing economy and be recognized as a premier global business destination. He has based this on 4 cornerstones of economic development, education, energy, and jobs. Through his leadership, during the past years since '09, the state has been acknowledged as the best managed state by Governing Magazine and also the best state to live in by Gallup, the Gallup poll. The governor has not only brought exciting and excellent leadership to the great state of Utah, but to its people and businesses. And in addition to that, he currently serves on the executive committee of the NGA, the National Governors Association, where he is also a member of the Education and Workforce Committee. You can see a bio of the governor on page 10 in your program, but as I said before, I think most of you know about him and respect him in a great deal. One thing you may or may not be aware of is that he has been a small business person for many, many years. He and his wife were small business persons for over 23 years. And so he knows exactly where it is you're coming from and how the program that we have here today, the Ptac program, can help expansion dreams and aspirations that you as small businessmen have. So without any further introduction, I'm going to turn the time over to Governor Herbert.
Well, thank you, Fred, for that more than generous introduction. And good morning to everybody here. I'm honored to be with you this morning at this symposium and appreciate the good work that all of you are doing. Fred mentioned about some of the successes that we're having in Utah, and it's true. I'm very proud of the efforts that we've made and making this the most business-friendly state in America. We see the success that's being created because we have a good atmosphere for business. And for the entrepreneur and for those out there that are the risk takers and the entrepreneurs, we appreciate you in the business community, particularly small business that really is the backbone of the successes that we're having here in this great state. So I'm honored to be with you. You guys are making it happen, and you make it happen, I get some of the credit. But again, it's really a team effort, so thank you very much. I happened to talk to my wife, who was a business owner. One of the businesses that we owned was a daycare center and a drop-in center. We are from Utah County, where the birth rate is the highest of any place in Utah, any place in America, and I think other than Bangladesh, the highest birth rate in the world. And so we started a business in daycare, and felt like that would be kind of recession-proof. And my good wife, the First Lady Jeanette, ran that for 23 years. When I became Lieutenant Governor, we sold it and concentrated more on the state responsibilities we had. But we understand and have an appreciation for business and for the challenges that are involved in business. I remember when Governor Huntsman and I partnered up together, we both were running for governor in 2004, and we decided to make a team and came together in that effort. I had the press ask me, what's the difference between your business and the Huntsman's business? And the answer was a simple one. It was about $10 billion was the difference. But interestingly enough, the same principles are involved in a large business are the same principles involved in a small business. Dealing with government regulations, dealing with the risk reward that's involved in the private sector, the need to have good qualified employees, the vision that the company needs to have, the ups and downs of the business market and the business cycle. And again, an appreciation that I bring, I think, in this role is the fact I've been there, like many of you, and have been involved in that competitive free market situation. When I left this morning, I told Jeanette, I said, I'm going to speak to a lot of small business people this morning, and I ought to bring something to the table that will be educational, motivational, maybe inspiring to these people. I said, Jeanette, tell me what I should say to them. And she says, well, what would be inspirational to me, Gary, would be if you were just brief. And so I'll be kind of brief here this morning, but my number one mission here is to tell you thanks. Appreciate what you do and how you do it, and all of us working together in Utah is really gaining some national attention, frankly, and people want to know what we're doing differently here in Utah. It's allowed us to have this great success. I also want to thank the sponsors. Sometimes we kind of gloss over the sponsors, and the people who really allow this to happen, they put up their own resources. And as part of this effort to get us together, and Zions Bank and American Express, got Scott Anderson here on the stand with me. These are people who are out there in many different venues saying we have something to contribute and to give to help these kinds of opportunities take place. Again, it improves the quality of our life, it improves our economic outcome, and so I appreciate the sponsors, Zions Bank, American Express, our silver sponsors, Goldman Sachs, 10,000 small businesses. Lloyd Blankfein was in town here not too long ago and said to me, Gary, Lloyd's the chairman of the board, CEO of Goldman Sachs, says, Utah, the most business-friendly state in America today is Utah. That's high praise coming from somebody who's been around. Salt Lake County, LSI Business Development, Media One, some other key supporters, sponsors, including L3 Communications, again, nearly 4,000 strong here in our state, Northrop Grumman, and Utah Suppliers Development Council. So again, I just wanted to pay a little extra tribute to those folks that are part of our sponsors here. Now, dealing with the government, we're here to kind of talk about dealing with the government. You've heard one of the great lies is the check is in the mail. And the other great lie is I'm from the government and I'm here to help you. And we all recognize some of the challenges that there are when you deal with the government, and that's probably at every level. I'm a local government guy. I think that the government closest to people is most effective and efficient, and we ought to devolve responsibilities downward rather than upward, and we see the problems we deal with Washington, D.C., where it's more of a one-size-fits-all approach, as opposed to the unique differences we have in our local communities. and you as business people probably understand and appreciate that. But our PTACs, our Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, are designed to help you understand what the rules are and the fundamentals, so that in fact you can be helped, that you understand how it is that you approach and try to get business with the federal government. We have a need for your help. I'll just explain it this way. I don't think it's any surprise to anybody here that I'm a conservative, right-of-center governor. I'm a Republican, and I make no apologies for that. I believe the government has an appropriate role. I'm not anti-government, by the way. I think government really is needful in our lives for a variety of reasons. But I do think government ought to be less intrusive in our private lives. I think it ought to be smaller. And what government we have ought to be very efficient. And I believe that the most efficiency is found in the private sector for a lot of reasons, which we won't take time to go in here today. But if we're going to make government efficient, then when we have those opportunities and need services and product, government is better off going to the private sector and contracting with you rather than developing a department. Having a department of construction, if we're building roads, we're better off contracting and having an agreement with some private contractor to build those roads. Buildings on our college campus, we're better off rather than having a construction company that's a government run and government employees. We're better off contracting with some private firm in a competitive bid process. Building whatever it is, widgets, providing services. Again, I think government is better served if we go to the private sector as often as possible to get those services. That saves money, it has more efficiencies, and that's a blessing to the taxpayer. Our Ptac program is designed to help Utah businesses know the fundamentals and access government contracts. And we've had great success in doing this, by the way. Over the past 2 years, with the help of Ptac, Utah companies have garnered more than $373 million in contracts. That equates to about 7,000 jobs that are created or retained. So it really is helping people be employed. It's helping grow the economy. It's helping to stabilize what we have here. It's helped to get us out of the Great Recession. And it's helping us lead the nation when it comes to economic growth as we see ourselves doing today. Interestingly enough, just this past August, our most recent numbers show that Utah clients won over $192 million in contracts, which is more than half of all that was reported in 2012. So we're having success. That success is growing, and the beneficiaries are you and the people of Utah and our taxpayers. As we look around, to the booths that we have here and to you here in the audience, we have people here from all corners of Utah and different lines and different disciplines in the private sector, representing small businesses and different products. And I just want to, again, assure you that my administration has a great appreciation for the role that small business plays in the success of our economy. I oftentimes refer to it as the backbone, it's the foundation of our economic growth that's taking place here in this state. And so we need you as a partner as we continue to move forward. Now, let me just conclude by talking about, again, some of the Ptac successes. We have 7 Ptac offices in Utah that are proactive in providing information and options to those in the small business arena and helping through this contracting process. Ptac teams up with prime contractors about 4 or 5 times a year and gives an outreach effort so people can come like we're doing here today and understand and learn how to, in fact, enhance their own business opportunities. And we've had, I'll just give a couple of examples here, 3 in fact. I'd like to recognize the Ross brothers, the success that they're having with our Ptac. South Mountain Builders, again, appreciate the success that they're having. Juan Cardenas is the president and CEO there. And last but not least, Archer Technologies International, Brent Wyant, again, the president of the company there, and again, having great success because they've been able to work with our Ptac and access government contracts. Again, it's win-win. and that's what I like about the approach we're taking here. It might be of interest to you to know that the Department of Defense, which again spends a lot of money and contracting for different issues that they need in our defense and our national security issues, they fund up 50% of our Ptac operation. So they have recognized the benefit that this program provides for them and for the country. But we've been named as outstanding, which is the top rating you can get in this across the country. And so it's good to know that our people, I thank them for all the good work they're doing. So in conclusion, let me just thank everybody. You know, I talk in terms of Team Utah. I think that teamwork is really a key issue. I think some of the challenge we face in this country is because of a lack of teamwork. And we look at the dysfunctionality in Washington, D.C. and see that people, in fact, are very adversarial. Now, I understand the differences that we have, a difference of political philosophies and different processes and approaches that we take. But there needs to come a time when we recognize we're all on the same team and we need to pull the wagon in the same direction. One of the keys to our success in Utah is the fact that we are pulling together. Doesn't mean we agree on everything. It doesn't mean that we're clones of each other. We have differences of opinion. But we recognize that we can get more done by pulling together than pulling apart. And that team effort is evident here in Utah in ways and degrees we haven't seen in a long, long time. And so I appreciate the fact that you're all part of Team Utah. And I thank everyone that's been involved with Ptac and making it a success here in this state the last few years. And again, particularly all of you in small business that take your time and invest your resources, take that risk that's necessary in free market capitalism with the opportunity to have a reward. We want to make sure that you have a reward. We want to make sure that you have the benefits that come in free market competition to have a bigger bottom line. Really, the sky is, in fact, the limit in America. And free market competition. We have our ups and downs, we have our successes, we have those who have less success. But the potential is there for all of us, and particularly as we work together to have great success. It's working in Utah. As Fred's mentioned, we've been recognized as the best place for business in America. And been recognized just as importantly, and maybe more so, as having the best quality of life of any place in America. That comes with having a foundational approach of a focus on what's good for the economy. It's pretty hard to have a good quality of life if you don't have job opportunities for not only ourselves, but for our children and our grandchildren, for the rising generation. The fact that there's opportunities to have a job, to raise your family, be self-sufficient, is a key part of our focus. So thanks for all you do. I'm honored to be with you here. Good luck and God bless.
What a great governor we have. At the beginning of this introduction for Scott Anderson, the president and CEO of Zions Bank, we're going to depart from the script just a little bit because we have an award that we want to present to Scott Anderson, and we want to take advantage of the fact that our governor is here and can participate in this honor and this momentum of our appreciation for all that Scott does. I'm told that Scott is lauded in the community and in the state as having unmatched community involvement. Now, I can personally attest to that. I've been in this position for 9 years, and I've seen Zions Bank under the direction of Scott Anderson be everywhere, anywhere, and all the time, because they have been involved in all types of public and private sponsorships, community involvement, and so forth. So I've observed that myself. And as further evidence of this, I'm also told that Scott is currently serving in about 24 different boards and committees that have to do with profit and nonprofit organizations here in the state. So his involvement goes very deep and very wide and is felt by all different parts of the economy. On behalf of the Governor's Office of Economic Development and the Procurement Technical Assistance Center, we have an award that we are giving to Scott Anderson today for community service. And at this time, we want to present, we'll have the Governor do this. Let me just tell you what is etched in the crystal. It says October 2013, Government Office of Economic Development and Ptac Community Service Award presented to Zions Bank and Scott Anderson. Let's have a round of applause for Mr. Anderson. So we have to have those photo ops, right? So now let me introduce Mr. Anderson to the group. Before I do so, I did also want to thank all of those of you that are in the booths around the hall. We have over 50 large companies, prime contractors, and large government agencies and their procurement departments that circle this hall, and you'll have multiple opportunities to visit with them, introduce yourself, share a business card or a flyer, and talk about the possibility of becoming a supplier or a contractor or a subcontractor with many of these people that are in the booth. So we really appreciate their involvement, and that's kind of rounds out this program along with our breakout sessions. Now, Scott Anderson is, as I mentioned, the president and CEO of Zions Bank. It's actually called Zions First National Bank, but I guess we abbreviate that. It's easier to just say Zions Bank. And you may or may not know that it's Utah's oldest financial institution. It was founded in 1873, so it's almost 140 years old. You can find a bio of Scott on page 11 of your program. But I was going to share a couple of things with you. Knowing that it'd be my responsibility and honor to introduce him to you, I found out a few facts here that I want to share. Scott is the CEO of Utah's only local bank with a statewide distribution, having 107 full-time or full-service branches. In addition, they have a large number of branches in Idaho, and also what is probably less known is that they have national loan origination offices throughout the country, not just in the Intermountain West. I'm told, too, that in addition to being what I called earlier an unmatched community involvement person, he's also what is known as a consensus builder. If you think about that, leaders can take different approaches to solving problems and opportunities that come along. They can be at the head of the issue, they can be coming in from behind and helping, or they can be a consensus builder that tries to get all the parties to agree on some of the things that they wanted and not necessarily all. We've been told also that he is at the top or near the top of every listing in the state of Utah when it comes to being one of the most influential people in the state. The bank, under Scott's direction, has received many awards both locally and nationally in terms of the business that they are in. And community service has been a hallmark of the bank and of the CEO, Scott Anderson. Finally, I would mention to you that there are over 2,500 employees of Zions Bank, which may or may not be known to most of you, but it is a large company that takes a lot of solid teamwork and leadership to do as well as they've done over the years and be in business for more than 140 years. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Mr. Scott Anderson, President and CEO of Zions Bank.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure for me to be here today, and I appreciate that honor. But I'm really here to honor you, the small businesses of this state. You are the backbone of our economy, and our economy is strong because you are strong and because of the jobs that you are creating. So thank you. I can't think of a better way to spend resources than to support operations and seminars like this that hopefully will help you be more successful in the future. I think the theme of this conference is a good one, teaming to win business contracts. As the governor said, we are all part of this Utah team. And when we work together under Governor Herbert's leadership, we will win and we will make a difference. I think it's also interesting, if you look on page 2 of the program, in the governor's letter to you, he says, thanks to a vibrant small business community, Utah's economy is among the best because of you. You know, and I think that's a real compliment, and I believe in that. Our economy is strong because of the small businesses in this state. And then on page 3, I want to quote from Spencer Eccles, the head of the Governor's Office of Economic Development, where he said, we are competing in a global economy. This global competition requires us to reach out and re-educate ourselves about how to engage in that economy. And so I congratulate you for being here in reaching out and re-educating yourself in how to be more successful in this economy. I also want to pay tribute to our governor. Utah continues to shine as a model state for economic growth, education, business strength, and quality of life because of his leadership. Utah's star is bright because he is leading us in the right way. His vision, as Fred said, is that Utah will lead the nation as the best performing economy and be recognized as the premier global business destination. And that's why it's so important for you to reach out and to be successful in your endeavors. In an effort to make this vision a reality, the state's mission focuses on excelling in job creation, innovation, entrepreneurship, global business, and a quality workforce, while at the same time maintaining a stable and sustainable business-friendly environment. Under Governor Herbert's leadership, we have developed a very diverse economy, one of the most diverse economy in the country, and this has given us great stability over the recent recession the nation has gone through. We are a fiscally responsible state with a balanced budget and a rainy day fund that few states have. We have invested routinely in infrastructure, in roads and transits to make our state run well. We have a growing and young workforce, and we have a market-focused culture that focuses in on growth. Governor Herbert has also revamped Utah's tax structure to be one of the most competitive in the nation. In fact, I was visiting with some businesses from California that were in Utah to look for a location where they wanted to relocate because of our tax structure and because of our business-friendly environment compared to what they are now living under. Governor Herbert has improved the competitive environment for small and medium-sized businesses. He has traveled widely to recruit businesses to Utah, and he has crisscrossed our state to help local companies grow and expand. And he has attracted capital to our state so that businesses will have access to the capital they need to grow and expand. And he has promoted growth in targeted industries where we have an advantage, and making Utah a hyper-competitive region in these focused industries. And he has enhanced Utah's reputation both nationally and internationally through trade missions, travel, speeches, and this has captured